We will be continuing Chapter 8 of the Templeton Twins. We will begin at the top of page 108. Professor Templeton looked up at Dean Dean with a completely baffled expression and indicated the notebook. "This is utter gibberish," he said. "It makes no sense whatsoever. Unless," he handed the notebook to Abigail. "Can you read any of this, Abby?" As I know you know, Abigail was the word puzzle expert of the family. Do you have a word expert in your family? Well, too bad. It so happens that I do. And that expert, you would hardly be surprised to learn, is me. Let's move on. Abigail examined the notebook. Dean slid over beside her, pointed at a particular passage, and said in a triumphant way, "There, see? This is what it said. Heterocleptic percolale trans individ unit knapsack. I think it says helicopter personal transportation," Abigail said. "An individual unit knapsack." "Ah!" cried Dean. "There's no ah," John said. "The only reason you wrote knapsack was because our father probably said it in his lecture." There is an ah. No, there's not. I say ah. It doesn't matter what you say. There's no ah. Aha. Nope, sorry. Dean snatched the notebook from Abigail and glared at the professor. "You don't understand," he said. "No longer trying to sound happy or friendly. This is your last chance." "Absolute rubbish," the professor said. "Last chance before what?" "Before," Dean nodded solemnly, "before certain things take place." "Mr. Dean, we have indulged you quite enough," the professor said. "Now take your notebook and your certain things and kindly leave our home before I summons the authority." Dean drew himself up until he was standing as tall as he could, tugged his elegant suit jacket down with a snap, and gave his tie not a little squeeze. He looked at the twins. "I wish you twins had never been born," he said. "And I'm not just saying that, I really do." He marched off the porch and down the walk and off into the night. John shut the door behind him. Then the twins and their father went back into the dining room to see what kind of trouble Casey had gotten into. Questions for review. Number 1. How would the Templeton twins' lives have been different had they never been born? Number 2. Do you have a recipe for meatloaf you would care to share with the narrator? Number 3. Multiple choice. Choose one. When Dean says before certain things take place, what does he mean? A. Don't know. B. No idea. C. Beats me. D. Not a clue. Or E. All of the above. The small print in the star at the bottom says, "Probably you do not. Therefore, I shall share one with you." So, the next time someone asks you for a meatloaf recipe, you will be prepared. It is a recipe for something I call the narrator's meatloaf. You will need 1 grown-up, This can be a parent, neighbor, long-lost uncle or aunt, piano player, or any other convenient adult. 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. You know, of course, that vegetable oil is not something used to oil rusty vegetables. It is oil extracted from corn, peanuts, sunflower, soybeans, or whatever. 1/2 cup of chopped onions. Do not attempt to chop the onions yourself. Kitchen knives are sharp, and onions are frankly frisky and hard to coral. Ask your grown-up to chop the onions. 1 or 2 clove garlic pressed. This does not mean you should send the garlic cloves to the dry cleaners and have them pressed or hung on a hanger. It means you should put them through a garlic press. You can do this yourself. 1/2 teaspoon of cummins. This is a spice that is used in all the most delicious foods in the world, so don't be afraid of it. 1 teaspoon of oregano. This is often put on pizza, so it may look familiar if you want to impress your grown-up. Crush it in your fingers before you add it. When someone remarks about it, just say, "Oh yes, I always crush my dry herbs, otherwise what's the point?" 1/2 cup of ketchup. You know what this is, surely. 1 pound of ground beef. You may find it icky and unpleasant to work with raw ground beef, but how else do you think meatloaf is made? Oh, never mind. Ask your grown-up to help you with this. 1 egg lightly beaten. This does not mean you should take a whip or a club and beat the egg. It means you should break it and stir it up in a cup with a fork so that the clear and the yellow parts mix together. Yes, a raw egg. Oh, please, it's just an egg. Don't be so squeamish. But be sure to wash your hands if you get any on them, and to wipe off the counters if any spills. 1 cup, more or less, breadcrumbs. These are not literally crumbs that fall off the bread, but breadcrumbs that come in a tall, round can. Salt and pepper. These are self-explanatory. You should do this. Number 1, instruct your grown-up to preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 177 degrees Celsius. Preheating the oven to 350 Celsius equals 662 degrees Fahrenheit would destroy the oven and burn down the house. This is highly undesirable and will result in no meatloaf. Number 2, using your grown-up with great care and politeness, do the following 3. A. Put a pan on the stove and turn the heat to medium. Add the oil. After about 30 seconds, add the onions and cook, stirring until they get greasy looking and you can sort of see through them. B. Lower the heat. Add the garlic and cook for 1/2 minute, stirring. Don't let it burn or even get brown. C. Add the cumin, oregano, and ketchup. Yes, you are cooking the ketchup. Cook, stirring for 15 seconds. Then turn off the heat and let this mixture cool. Go do something else for 10 minutes or until the mixture really is cool to touch. Number 3, put the ground beef in a big bowl. Add the beaten eggs, the breadcrumbs, and the onion ketchup mixture. Add a couple of pinches of salt and a couple of shakes of pepper. Number 4, combine all of this with your bare hands, smushing it together gently, but be sure the ingredients are thoroughly mixed. You heard me, with your bare hands. You are probably thinking, but surely there is some other way. No, there's no other way. Number 5, dump it all out into a roasting pan, one that has raised edges all around. not a flat cookie sheet, and form it into a loaf, about the size and shape of a cigar box. Be sure it's fairly even and flat across the top, and that there is space between the loaf and pan edge on all four sides. If you want, you can dribble some more ketchup over the top. Number 6. Utilize your grown-up to do the following 2 things. A. Put the pan in the oven and bake for 45 minutes. And B. Remove from the oven, let cool slightly, then cut and serve. You may add more ketchup at the table, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. After all, you're, with the help of your grown-up, the cook. Remember to turn the oven off and to thank your grown-up profusely for all his or her help. If necessary, look up profusely in the dictionary. That is the end of Chapter 8.